Today we are going to discuss modeling data requirement in System Analysis and Design course. The entity relationship diagrams, the ERD. ERD are introduced by Chen in 1976 for modeling the semantic of the data to be stored in an information system. The essential component of the ERD, the entities, the attribute, which is the properties, the relationship. Many different notation, but fundamental same Parker notation, i.e. Chen IDEF1X. Objectives of ERD: provide an accurate model of the information needs of the organization, act as framework for development of a new enhanced system, modeling the data that satisfy the organization information needs, modeling the data that help in constructing of the proposed new system database independently of any storage or access method objective view. Communication tool to help to clarify data requirement with users, verify the functional requirement, the relationship with the DFD and FDC. Recall CRUD. The main component of ERD: entity, rectangular shape, relation, align. Entities: entity type, class, definition of the attribute and range of values, domain for each attribute. Template: the entity instance, a particular example occurrence of an entity type, values assigned to each attribute from domain. The entities, a thing which can be distinctly identified. The attributes such as part number, part description, unit of measure, quantity on hand, quantity on order, unit cost. And the entity instance such as shown in the table. The entity type, note that entity type should be labeled in the singular. The entity categories: tangible, such as plan, book, vehicle, document; role, such as employee, customer, doctor, patient; organization unit, division, department, and section; devices, such as sensor, timer, disk drive, mouse, button; incident, event, interaction, transaction, such as flight, contract, purchase order; site and location, such as warehouse, branch office, and factory; type classification, list of a valid item; example, gender recording type, represented logically as lookup table. The attributes. The attribute is a piece of information that describes an entity. Types include descriptive, individual atomic properties that describe the object of interest; identifying, used to uniquely identify occurrence of the entity type; assigned, a member of a particular value set called a domain. Example attributes of an entity type such as color, weight, and age. The color attribute can take values from the domain such as red, blue, white, yellow. Other attributes may be introduced for logical design. Surrogate key, no candidate from descriptive attributes. Foreign key, implement relationships. Attribute optionally shows what information is required for an entity type. Optional, a value is not required when instant created, logically represented using null. Example, email, car, registration. Mandatory, a value is always required when instant created. Example, customer name, contact details. Pose determined by organization business rules. Relationships: an association among entities, reflect real-world relationship between domain items. Entity type are called participant. The number of participants is called the degree of relationship. Usually binary, can be unary or ternary. Relationships types: many to many. A course studied by many students. Student study many courses. The relationship type one-to-many. A customer placed many orders. An order placed by only one customer. The relationship type one-to-one. A citizen has only one SSID. A SSID issued for only one citizen. Relationships properties. Cardinality represent how many instances of an entity type can be associated with an instance of the other entity type. Option one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. Optionality participation represent whether or not instance of an entity type must participate with instance of a related entity type. Option one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, many-to-many. The label describe in a sentence form the nature of association. Clarify meaning, impose direction. Translate to business rule in conjunction with other elements. Example on relationship, we can see an artist and artwork. Let's see together. An artist must create at least one or more artworks. An artwork must be produced by one and only one artist. Example on optional relationship. An artist may create one or more artworks. An artwork must be produced by one and only one artist. How do you recognize the type of relationship for a course and a student? A course is taken by many students. The relation is one-to-many. From the other side, a student take many courses. The relationship is one-to-many also. From the right side, one-to-many, and from the left side, one-to-many. We can collect them together. The relation will be many-to-many. How do you recognize the type of relationship for customer and order? A customer places many orders. The relationship is one-to-many. From the other side, an order is placed by one customer. So the relationship is one-to-one. We can collect them together. So the relationship will be one-to-many. How do you recognize the type of relationship for citizen and SSID? A citizen has one SSID, so the relation is one-to-one. From the other side, a SSID is issued by only one citizen. So the relationship will be one-to-one. We can see that the relationship after collecting to be types of ERD. Conceptual ERD more closely associated with documenting the real world. Use many-to-many relationship. Don't show foreign key as being attribute of entities. No concern for the type of database to store resulting data. Logical ERD more closely associated with documenting the real world in terms of the corresponding typically relational database structure, replacing many-to-many relationship with two one-to-many relationship and all key intermediary entity shows a foreign keys. Suggested step for the ERD creation. Number one, identify entities. At least one descriptive attribute, multiple occurrences, define identifier, strong, weak, associative, synonym, for example, customer and client. Number two, identify relationship between entities, optionality, cardinality, degree, business rule, label, impose direction. Number three, document the attribute for each entity. Attach the attribute once to entity, define suitable domain, investigate possibilities for further decomposition. General guideline. Break down domain problem into smaller, manageable chunks and integrate later. Model distinct area based on entity categories. All labels, such as entities, attributes, labels, should be meaningful and mapped to existing domain terms. All elements of a relationship definition should translate to a coherent business rule, one rule in each direction. Lay out the ERD important for readability. In this example, Tasty Travel Agency, travel itinerary, analysis of the itinerary content. We can see the staff in blue, the customer in green, the itinerary in dark red, and the sectors in red for the repeating group. Review the itinerary content, the basic entities, the itinerary, date prepared, staff name, sector, time and date of departure, time and date of arrival, name of airline, flight number and type of aircraft, the customer, the name and address, the payment, the date, number and the amount, the relationship and itinerary in related to a staff member. An itinerary is related to a customer. An itinerary has one or more sector. A sector may be used in more than one itinerary. This example of Tasty Travel Agency, the ERD of it, is there a better way to model these two entities? An ERD example, a firm has number of sales office in several states. Attributes of sales office include office number and location. Each sales office is assigned one or more employee. Attribute of the employee include employee ID, identifier key, employee name. An employee must be assigned to only one sales office. For each sales office, there is always one employee assigned to manage that office. An employee may manage only the sales office in which he or she is assigned. The firm lists property for sale. The attribute of the property include the property ID, which is an identifier, and location. The component of the location include the address, city, state, and zip code. Each unit of the property must be listed with one and only one of the sales office. The sales office may have any number of properties listed or may have no properties listed. Each unit of property must be listed with one and only one of the sales office. A sales office may have any number of properties listed or may have no properties listed. Each unit of property has one or more owner. The attribute of owner are owner ID, which is the identifier, and owner name. An owner may own one or more unit of property. An attribute of the association between the property and the owner is percent owned. We can see here the rough ERD where the sales office, the employee, the owner, and the property. The ERD with cardinality. Sales office, employee, property, and owner, and their relationship. Eliminating this many relationship with an associative link entity. Eliminating many relationship as shown in this picture. Here we can see fully attribute ERD with keys. For the employee have employee ID, employee name, job description. The sales office, office number, which is a primary key, employee ID is a foreign key, sales office location. The property has a property ID, primary key, office number, foreign key, property location. The location consists of address, city, state, and zip code. The property title has owner ID as a primary foreign key, property ID, primary foreign key, the property percent owned. The owner, we have in it the owner ID, which is a primary key, and the owner name. By this, we finish our lecture.